All right. Take it away, Trent.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to share my screen here. If everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Very good. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
So if Holly, I do miss some, let me go. And let me end this. All right, that might be a little better. I'm trying to be able to see it at the same time, see everybody else. So yeah, I lost ability to move it. Hang on just a second. All right, we're just gonna run. So Holly, I can't see anybody hand raising or anything.
Yep, I'll keep an eye out for you.
Awesome. Okay, sorry, thanks. So as Holly said, thanks so much for joining. Appreciate everybody taking part. I know it's a busy time of year, so I've got a bunch of PowerPoint stuff with videos inside of it, and I want to make this like super informal. So feel free to just jump in at any time. I want that. That'd be great. You can ask questions. You're not going to offend me in any way. We all learn differently. We all do different stuff on the tee. You know, we probably end up in a similar place at the end of the day or end of the lesson or end of our relationship with the student. But we all just kind of go about things differently. And this is, again, pretty informal. So jump in at any time. I'm going to start right away with one swing that was submitted. And I've got these in regular speed and some in slow-mo for sure. So I'm just going to play this. I think it's good. You know, when I was learning a lot and still am, I always like looking at the swing and kind of seeing what I would do and listening to what somebody else would do. So this one's in slow-mo. This is a high school girl. I don't know much about this person, ability level. And it's inside, so the shaft is blurry, as we all know that tends to happen. That's the face-on view. And then down the line view.
So Trent, you're sharing just the slides for us. We can only see that title slide right now.
It didn't switch. Okay.
And Tom said she's low-level varsity, just broke 90 this spring for the first time, to give some context.
Low-level varsity just broke 90. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So presenter view. Is that better? Can you see that?
It's not. So I would stop sharing and then I would redo with sharing maybe your whole screen. That way you can switch between. There we go.
That works?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. We'll just do that. So maybe it had to do with the like starting the slideshow. Okay. We'll just fly with that. Okay. So I'll start over real quick. Didn't miss much. So low-level varsity player broke 90 for the first time. That's exciting. And that's still good. Everybody can see that?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So these are always challenging. I had a conversation with a student the other day about something, and she was asking a question, but I didn't know where she came from, right? Like, I don't know where this student's been. I don't know what she's been working on. So, you know, it's not exactly fair for either party to just, you know, me to chime in too much and because she may have been this might be fantastic and was struggling before, and she's been doing really well. So I don't have a lot of background information. Anything stick out to anybody, or just want anything stick out, or what you've been working on, or what you would work on? No worries, I'll go. I'll break the ice here. So a little bit at address, and some things at address, I'll probably say this a few times. Some things at address make a world of difference, and some things at address don't help at all. So you never know, and I've seen it go both ways my whole life. But I would try at address to probably flare her feet a little bit, especially her left one, and maybe a skosh of a forward press. That's probably all I do at address. From down the line, the tiny bit of information I was given is that she just has a hard time controlling the club face. I'm guessing that means the ball tends to go both directions a little bit. So as this moves through, and I did do a good camera angle link here in a couple of slides that I'll show you, because it's really important where you set the camera up. And I know this was just done in haste really quickly. But when you're teaching, you should have a tripod, and the camera needs to be farther away, so it's not like a fishbowl kind of effect, like a wide angle lens. But I see this young gal. Uh-oh, something just froze on me.
And Trent, just while we're working through that, had another comment come in for context. She sucks it way inside and has trouble squaring the club face at impact, wide open face on most hits.
Okay, wide open. Okay. That makes sense. So let me see why this is happening. We were just talking about technology.
I swear, every time I try to use it, something breaks on me.
It's crazy.
And also another comment, got her squared up on a few, and her 9-iron goes about 130 for context distance.
Okay. All right, pull this back up again here. So can everybody see this?
Not yet. You're not sharing your screen at the moment.
Got it. Wow. Huh. I click and share, it won't work. Window might show up. Let me try that.
Sure.
Yeah, that one flew. That one better? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try this again here. So this is what I would do with this young lady. Slow-mo demonstration is, yep, she takes the club head inside, but also her like arms or her right elbow is like too far back behind her. And I can go back and show hers again in a second. So I threw a little tennis racket on here that's basically just in the same direction that the club face would be pointed. So her arms and the club head go too far back behind her. And they look a little bit like that as she nears the top. The right elbow is too down and tucked because of that. And it starts to lift or raise a little bit, that being the right elbow. And then she's a little across the line. All that's because of the same takeaway stuff. And she's got to right the ship right now. She's kind of got to get the shaft down to a playable position. So she minutely moves her hands out. I'm exaggerating here, but her hands go out, if you saw what I did. And that motion right there where the hands go out and the shaft tips backward is what opens the face. Now, her face may not look very open, or my club face may not look very open, but when you do that move, the barrel of the shaft rolls open. And now she's got a lot to square up at the bottom, kind of some rolling, flicking, whatever you want to call it. So I would do what you just saw, which the arms and the club are a lot more out in front of me. Also that the shaft or the face doesn't twist as much. So a whole bunch of takeaway stuff. That's the old one right there. And then she'd have to flick it. So again, just like small amount. Watch her right elbow. That's like getting too bent and tucked back behind her here, and a few more clicks like that. And it's tucked too down. Then it's going to raise. And then her hands are basically too deep, and they have to fix themselves right there. That's slight, but the barrel of the shaft kind of gets behind her, rolls open, and now she's got to flick roll it. And this is kind of what I think is really important with students is it's possible that as a person kind of drops the club like that on the way down, they can chunk it because the ground's in the way a little early. If they miss the ground there, the club's coming up, so they blade it. The face is open as we were given some inside information, so she misses it right. If she rolls her hands just right, it's a nice shot. If she doesn't, she overrolls her hands, and then it's overdrawn. So the student really needs to know all those misses. I'll throw this up really quick. This is just the part about setting up a camera. I did this video kind of COVID time when I had a lot of students sending me stuff, but I'll just leave that. You can copy, paste it, do whatever you want to, and look at it another time. So let me move to another. Actually, any questions on that? Everybody good there? All right. So this lady, this was our very first lesson. She had taken a lesson out in California when she was there, and she was told she needed to stand closer, that she was a long way away from the ball, and by being too far away from the ball, that's why the reason she was slicing. So she walked in the door with what you see right now, and we're chit-chatting here a little bit, so I'll just talk over her. So she's explained to me some stuff, but what we needed to do, look at the line that's on the screen that she hit. It's dead straight. When she doesn't hit the club face, the ball goes like that. So she thought, and or the person she was working with thought that was a slice, but it actually nicks the hosel. Let me go a little farther. Every time she hit the ball on the face correctly, it did what you see on the screen. Like it was really, really straight. So this is that swing in slow-mo. She's got some good stuff. And you can watch where the club head pops out right there. It's going to nick the hosel and slide off to the right. So there often needs to be some explaining, right? People don't exactly know where they hit it on the face. And so they need to understand why it's going right. It's not that the club face is open. So from face on, here's this one. Some good stuff. She's a decent player, usually shoots in the 80s when the hosel isn't coming in. So I'll ask if you don't want to answer, that's okay. But why, you can throw out some ideas. Why might she hit the hosel?
I'll talk real quick,
Right.
but her arms at address look kind of in a weird twisted position to me.
From face on or down the line?
From face on. I don't know if her arms are hanging so naturally, so maybe just the stiffness portion of it.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So they're kind of, some people like turn the underside of their elbows like up and out, like toward us, toward the camera right now.
Yeah.
Yep. I get that. I agree with that. Probably make that relaxed a little more. Some people, I don't know. I see, I've seen this gal she's a member at Cherry Creek. I see her on the range a decent amount, and we've had 2 lessons. This was our first one. I don't know, sometimes 2 glove people like just look tight and tense for whatever reason, but I agree with that setup item for sure. So the one, let me go to slow-mo. So we went with 2 things here, and I'll explain them. So history-wise, she used to stand a long way away from it. And so she used to have to, probably right in there, her hands are a long way away from her body. And that's what she used to have to do because she stood a long way away from the ball. So now as she moves closer, if she does this move that I'm describing where her hands are farther away, that could bring the hosel into play pretty easily. So that's just where my brain goes when I'm watching a person and when she told me her history. And then from this view, so I've got two things on my mind as a teacher, like why I think she hits the hosel here from a swing standpoint. And as she comes down, she starts to unhinge a little too early right here. So the we'll just say the left arm and the shaft are getting in line too soon. And stop me if I lose you on this. If a person if a robot unhinged their wrist too early, the club has nowhere to go except into the ground. Nowhere to go. The robot, I should say, would chunk it every single time. So we humans are smart and we start to compensate in some way, shape, or form. Some people stand up so that the club doesn't hit the ground. Some people pull their arms up so it doesn't hit the ground. And this lady doesn't really do either of those things. So in an effort to not hit the ground, the club goes away from her at the last second. The club moves out toward, say, us right now, so that she doesn't chunk it, but now the hosel's in the way. So she works really hard. She works with one of the fitness trainers here at the club, and the fitness trainer came to me and told me how dedicated she is. So she's like loving this, and she's such a cool lady. We have a blast together. So I don't have an after. I don't have a second video, but that's what we would be working on, and that's what we did work on. So what I did was we did a lot of mini swings, and I just got her wrist to be more hinged or cocked by this point by doing a bunch of little swings. And I also bought a little bit of insurance by making sure her hands were swinging closer to her legs from the down the line view, from a mechanical standpoint. So I might put a swim noodle, say, right from down the line. I might put a swim noodle. Can you see my cursor or not?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I'd hold a swim noodle like right where that cursor is, so that she's got to swing between her legs and that cursor. That's going to keep the club, her hands closer to her, and therefore the shaft away from the ball. We also talked like non-mechanically. There's only so much a person can take mechanically. So we were doing those two things, like, okay, let's get your hands feeling like your hands are closer to your legs on the way down while your wrists are still a little hinged. And we're going to hit the toe. So there's kind of some internal feelings, but also some external feelings. And we put face tape on, or I sent her home with face tape so she could use that on the range. The GC quad here obviously shows that when I have all the dots on. But, when I first look at her swing, I see a club face that's pretty closed at the top. But I never do anything with the club face unless the ball is telling me I need to. And again, she hit every ball really straight when she didn't shank it. So if I were to change something that would change the club face, I'm probably just walking into, I created something that probably wish I wouldn't have later on down the line. That's Lisa. That makes sense. Anybody questions on that? Sometimes that's a really minute one too. You'll see that a decent amount, like, man, why is this person shanking it? And they just ever so slightly unhinge it a little bit early. Sometimes you don't have to talk about that, and sometimes it's relating to some sequencing or something different, or the face is wide open and they have to unhinge it. But that's I'd say a fairly common reason why people hit the hosel. All right, so this gentleman this is Corey. Let me play this in regular speed. This was he caught me right on my way out the other night, and we took some swing, or a week or so ago, and we took some swings, asked some questions. That's face on. I'll do a slow-mo face on right here. You can see he towed that really badly by how much the face turned open, even though it's inside and blurry. Down the line, regular speed here. All right. So I will admit, I have two students that I think have a boatload of stuff going on. And this gentleman is one of them. There's a lot of stuff happening here. The other students I have, it's kind of like one or two core issues, and it corrects all 5, 6, 7 outcomes. So just slow-mo wise here, Corey's not a great practicer. He just likes to whack golf balls, no matter how much I tell him about how to practice. So he doesn't make great progress, and that's on me. And at some point, it's also on him. But I got to get at him all the time. And so Corey historically has had a really bad turn. This is not a great turn. He starts to lean toward the target. He gets really long. He cups his left wrist or goes into extension. From down the line view, you'll see he actually lets go of the handle up here. When he does that, the face gets wide open. It's just really, we could just start listing a bunch of things. His sequencing's off right here. He swings his arms down a lot. Now the face was open, so he's got to start flicking his wrist to try to square it. And he stands up a bunch and he hits the toe a lot. It's just a plethora of things that go on. So one more from, this is the slow-mo again from this side. Not the best posture. Not horrendous, but not the best. And he takes it back pretty well. And then that club face gets wide open. It'll come out way fanned open through with all those frames right now. And he's just working really hard to try and square it by flicking his wrist. And I think he over flicked it, and this thing went way left. That's scary over at Cherry Creek because Eyeless over there. It's not fun with left shots at Cherry Creek. So this is a couple days later with bad weather. And let me see, I forget what I just did here. So this guy is not allowed to take more than a half swing. He tends to hold on to the club better when he does that. He has to take 10,000 practice swings before he hits one golf ball. And if you watch that, when you've got students like this, I think the hardest thing is, one, you're like, gosh, where do I start? And two, if I hit, one or two of these root causes, he's still got these other things in there that are just messy, that are it's not going to really like make the ball change as quickly as he would like, nor as I would like. So I guess at times it might seem overwhelming, but I tell the student that, but we always filter this down. We always kind of dumb it down to like a dance move. And a long time ago, I had this student, she taught dance. She was a dancer herself, of course. And she would say, this golf swing stuff is just like dance. She would say, we teach our students you got to step with the right foot, step with the left, step with the right, but flare your foot out, throw your arm in the air, and you have to throw your hand like behind your head and point your fingers, in this way, shape, or form. She says it's so similar. You're ticking a lot of boxes in a short amount of time. And that has always stayed with me because that's, in my opinion, what needs to be done when you got these people that are like messy. They've got a boatload going on. So what I'm doing right now is, and this is why his takeaway was pretty good with the club face. He's doing a good job with his wrists in the takeaway. Then they get bad from where we are. They get bad from here on up. So I am just going along with him. We're making sure his wrists don't change their angle. So his left wrist is really flat or in flexion, and his right wrist is really extended back. You can look at the club face. And we went super short. Like that's his pump drill. That's as far back as he's supposed to go. And of course, you'll see where he ends up going there. He goes, parallel-ish to the ground. But his body is like starting to turn here all by itself through impact. And so we digest a bunch of stuff, and I don't hide it. Like, we do a lot of things that they have to coordinate and tick all those boxes so that they can get it. It's my job to say, so here's what he would, when he does this, I ask a question. I said, Corey, you're doing such a great job. You hit a shot to the left with an open face. if your face is square now, where do you think the ball might go? And he answered, he said, now it might go really left. And I said, exactly. So I want him to understand the whole realm of like what he might experience. And we've got to set that up. We've got to set up the club face being more square, might seem a little closed, but a little more square so that his body can react in a good way, which is what he was doing there, which was turning open. Let me see. And I have to sell him really hard on like, Corey, you no longer have, well, I'll say it this way. We all get this question. Hey, okay, so can I take a full swing now? It's like, no. This is your full swing. That is done. That's checked out. You left that swing a long time ago. And you got to sell him on that you no longer have a full swing. This is like, and I'd simply show him like, okay, let's just take it about halfway back and rip it. And when he does that, he says, oh my gosh, it's a full shot. And I said, well, that's it. If you take anything more than full, you're going to go over back to over parallel, losing the handle, losing the grip, open face, and back to disaster. So that's a challenging one, but I got to stay on top of him pretty hard. Any questions with that one? No, good. All right. I have time. All right, good. All right. So this I've seen this couple, this husband and wife, just last week, and this is the wife. I'll play this in regular speed. She's very athletic. You can see how the ball kind of slid off to the right. She's pretty new, like very new. As she turns, you might see her kind of like dip or go down a little bit. Not horrendous. Club face probably a little closed, but she doesn't miss it to the left yet. So right now, that club head's in trouble. You can't be consistent with that. That one may have nicked the hosel a little bit. I can't quite remember. So here's what we did. So from, where'd we go? So from down the line, I got her to arch her back less. Like that's not good to tilt your hips backward like that, up and out so much. So we used the mirror. There's a mirror nearby, and we got into what I just called like lazy, what old man, I think she called it old man posture. It looks maybe a little slouchier, but this is a little bit healthier on her back for sure. And let me see where we are here. And a lot of times I just have a person get into a new setup and it's like, all right, let's just get used to that for 5 or 10 shots. Let's just see how your body moves from there. And sometimes it gets better and sometimes it doesn't. But does anybody notice anything different with her swing? Play that one more time. And then here's the first one, old posture. This should be, so this is new posture in slow-mo. And then I did some still photos here in a second. So as she transitions down now, and we did some work on talking about this, her arms and the club, the shaft, they don't go as far out and away from her. Watch where this club head is right now. But watch where the club head, watch what happens. Just toes it, right? So she might like the ball flew kind of straighter, didn't shank it. But the reason why she toes it is because so I'm back there throwing confetti as a teacher. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. It's coming down. It's so good. It's staying from the inside more. That's so good. And then she hits it on the toe and it doesn't feel good to her hands. So I'll do the still photos here in a second, but her arms and hands are just too far away from her. Watch where the shaft is. It's kind of splitting her forearms. So compared to that one's in trouble. She needs to do some version of pulling the club in to make contact somewhere other than the hosel. So when she does some good stuff over here, she's just got some leftover what she used to need to do, which was pull the club in across her body. And we'll see that from face on here, I think, in a second. But now the shaft's lower, it's hugging her right forearm a little better, it's staying inside. And then crud, hit the toe. So we got to have some conversations about that. Granted, some people like throw a party after they've been hitting the hosel that they're hitting the toe. They just love it. Like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care about hitting the center. Let me hit the toe for a while. So let me see where we are here. That's a before. Slow that down. Oh yeah, so she's getting oily. Let me see. This is a. So we're oiling up her wrist a little bit with that waggle. And you could, I don't know if you can tell the difference there. She moves her body way more to the left aggressively, which helped kind of shallow the club on the way down. So here's. This should be slow-mo after. Face a little closed for sure, but I don't mess with it until she starts hooking it. She's got a slight, tentative pull into that left elbow, you can see, but that's what she used to have to do. And when you see this part right here, look at that body turn and extension. Compare that to these slides. So here she is, before is on the left, after's on the right. One, look at where her body is, first and foremost. You can see it in her legs. And then you can see how much the shaft just stayed a little bit more hinged, barely, on the right. There's a little bit more club back up in the sky slightly. Impact looks like these two. Again, just better on the right. And then the follow through, still photos. I mean, that's tremendously different with her lower body. But that's really hard to do. Well, sorry, let me say that again. This picture doesn't look too bad on the left, but we know by the time she starts coming down that club head pops out. So this one on the right, the club shaft's getting lower and lower and lower. And this is kind of that proof, like right before impact. What she loved, what she saw in this, when she saw it, hooked this up to the TV, she goes, oh, she saw it from face on. She says, look how much more I'm off of my back foot. And so I don't know who, maybe her husband's telling her to get off her back foot, which is all fine and dandy. But she made some cool improvements. We just had to get past, like, she had to understand why she was hitting it on the toe. Now, what would we do? What would we do to keep this really good motion on the right happening and not hit it on the toe? I'd almost just, you could stick 2 T's in the ground and hit a gate. Might just leave it alone and have her keep hitting the toe a little bit. She's pretty athletic, so I put some face tape on and have her start to guess a little bit more. But really, in all honesty, this is just about her putting another ball in front of her and making the exact same move she's been doing, or that we've been working on, because her arms are gonna learn to extend. They're gonna learn to move out and find the sweet spot at some point, especially as athletic as she is. Nobody ever tells anybody to like pull their arms in and get all chicken wingy. I mean, I almost never work on a chicken wing because it's a byproduct. That chicken wing is a byproduct of where this club is. She better chicken wing or she's going to whiff it or hit the hosel every single time. Any questions with that one? On time. All right. I want to save some at the end. I've got some stuff other than full swing that I think will really help students. It helps conversations with parents and students all the time. So I'm going to go to this one. This was kind of, I don't know if you find this funny, but these guys, they came 1 hour apart. And the guy that's swinging now on the left, I actually saw him second. So that's what we call a lot of forward bend. He never extends up. And that's the end of his backswing. So his spine is leaning much too far to his right, away from the target. And then this guy was the hour before, and he's got the exact opposite going on. Oop. Knee slide, hips, you know, not a good coil, spine leaning the other direction. So I actually showed this gentleman, because he was second, I showed this gentleman the other guy's swing. And he said, my gosh, his knees look like Elvis. And I said, great. Let's show me what Elvis looks like to you. And this ball swing, it was a little longer. If I compared it, it got a little longer in length, but this practice swing is what I'm after. Like, he did a pretty good imitation of the other gentleman, with his knee kicking in, and his spine is a lot better. Look at how much farther that backswing goes. Did it happen when he hit a ball? No, but he's kind of breaking the ice a little bit and starting to kickstart the process of getting better. When he, from this position here, he really leans back, or sorry, he comes a lot from the inside. And he's got a lot of lag coming in so that he doesn't chunk it. This gentleman, I just saw him yesterday for our second time. So this is him trying to work on it. And I would say it's decent. Yesterday was a ton better. So if this helps, here, watch him on the, oops, sorry. This was yesterday. Watch this turn. Remember, this is the same, this is the Elvis knee slide guy. That's a boatload better. Now we're pausing. He's taking it up there and stopping, and then we hit the ball. Everybody can, you know, well, not everybody. Many people can put themselves in positions or whatnot, and then when they go to hit the ball in regular speed, it gets chaotic. So I'll often, like, okay, this guy has a hard time moving in the backswing. Let's move to the backswing correctly. Take a 1 second break up there and digest that feeling, and then hit it and just smash it. And so he goes to an indoor center and he works on a TrackMan, and he's trying to come from the inside a lot, which he is now, but his club face is wide open. And he actually told me, he says, I get really nervous trying to get my path inside out because the person next to me in the stall, like, the balls kind of ricochet off the net and go toward that other person. So I said, that's cool, that's nice, but it's not your path that you're overdoing. Sorry, the ball's not going right because of the path. The ball's going right because of the club face. So here's this good turn. Watch where this club shaft comes down. I'll show you the before and at the end here. That's a pretty good place where he's coming down, but the face is just wide open, and he toes it. So it's 8 miles. I mean, that went way right. That exited the screen super fast. So really quick, here's just our very first lesson. This is when he kind of had the Elvis knee slide. He's unhinging his wrists because there's no lag in there, and the club's darting outside a little bit. So hopefully you can tell the difference between that one and where he is with, say, this one. And we're doing the pause, and he's digesting it, and then he comes down. So that path's going to be a lot different looking than what that other path would say on a TrackMan. But this ball is going to take off really nicely because we just talked about, like, releasing it, rolling, squaring the club face, turning the toe over, various ways of saying that. And he watched that ball forever because people, like, have a blast. Obviously, you know, when it goes straight, it goes a lot farther. And like, my gosh, that ball's in the air a super long time. But to me, that gets set up from his kind of messy turn that he had, and now he's doing this. So his feeling was, we tried to keep this knee to his left. We tried to keep this knee right where it was. He says, it feels like I'm riding a horse. I said, perfect. Then your backswing needs to feel like you're riding a horse. Because here's his first one. Actually, that's him trying to get better. Sorry. Here's his first one. Actually, that's going to play the other gentleman first. And he's a little wide, the guy on the right. His stance is a little wide. I'm trying to narrow it up. He doesn't feel good with a narrow stance, so we'll get through that. But that was his first one. All right, we're at 9:45. All right, so we're going to fly to this young man. Zayden here is a really good player, and I haven't seen him for a few years. They had to they get out of college, they have a job, and he wants to get back to playing golf. The first time I saw him, he was 12 degrees into out, and just hitting big old push hooks, skimming the grass a foot before the ball. So chunks and thins are on the menu. And so I don't know how many people have somebody that comes too much from the inside, but Zayden came a boatload from the inside. So let's show you what I do with people that come from the inside too much. And, you know, these are interesting ones because it's typically paired with a strong grip. And Zayden has a little bit of a strong grip. And so we're tweaking that a little bit because why is the club so much from the inside on the way down? Well, if the face is closed, the ball's going to hook, say left for a righty, for a right-hand golfer. And so they're just swinging way to the right just to try to counter that. I'm guessing everybody probably has an idea of that correlation. So if you get the path really good and the face is still closed, the ball's going to hook probably more left than he's ever seen it. So actually you can see up on the screen right here, right above the cursor, I think that says 4.5, 4.8, 4.3, something like that, into out. And again, he started with a 12. So we've got the club face better. He's actually trying to open it a shaded address because he's got it too closed at address. Oh yeah, there it is, 4.5. And I just throw this head cover. I can't tell you how good that is. He would, as he sees himself do this, he goes, oh my gosh, I'm not early extending anymore. Because as he drops it from the inside, that head cover would be in the way, the ground would be in the way, and then his body starts to stand up. So his early extension, this spine angle, some people say staying in your posture, like magnificent job of doing that because he's moving the shaft around his body, specifically down through impact, much better. So you see what this one is. This is just the same thing. So I've got this impact bag that you'll see in front. Oh, this might be slow-mo. And he might be a shade far away from the ball. And I'm sorry I didn't put it before up, but that is like beautiful. So here's what we're trying to do with this bag. We try and have people spin things a lot. So he's trying to hit not the inside part of this bag too much. He's trying to hit maybe the back of the bag or slightly the outside part of the bag. Right now we're opening the club face like a degree or two at address. It's coming, sorry. So we're trying to spin this bag in this direction as if it would slice. Make it spin like that. And you can see where that bag wanted to spin. I do the same thing with hockey pucks. And I don't think he did this one as well. So I draw on this hockey puck. You can see the arrow where that's pointing. It says fade on it for a righty. I have when you flip that hockey puck over, the arrow goes the other way, and I wrote draw on it. So we're opening the face. It looks open, maybe a degree or two, or it's a lot more square.
New right-hand grip, right?
New right-hand grip, neutral grip versus strong. We're just trying to spin this thing. Probably needs to exit a little more left or make his club shaft go a little more left. Because that came from the inside a little bit more than I would like, knowing that he's 12 degrees into out. So we actually ditched this hockey puck because that one kind of wanted to curve left. He closed the face. So he liked the bag and we stuck with the bag. And I just wanted to show you the hockey puck. Go buy a hockey puck. It's really, really cool. People get that. And then one last one before I dive into some other stuff. This is a really good player. Liam, he played in the U.S. Junior Champion, National USGA Championship last year. Forgetting what it was. And he's gotten off a little bit here. He's complaining of a big, like, he can't hit his wedges. So this is a wedge, and the club head, just watch where the club head drops in relation to his hands. remember this point right there. It's kind of in his right hip pocket right there. And watch this interaction between the club and the ball. You could see it working a little bit like in to out right there. That would spin the hockey puck like a hook. Now, I'm going to skip forward here. Liam has a little bit of a weird grip, and we've messed with it, and he can't even hit the ball. And strong grippers, his left hand is definitely not strong, but his right hand is strong and a little in the palm or fist, makes a fist. When we move that in any way, shape, or form, some strong grippers can't even meet the ball. Then the next person, you move their strong grip a millimeter, and it's the best thing ever. So you're just going to have to do something else. We had to do something else for Liam to hit it really well. And that was a new motion. And I'll slow it down. Watch where the club head goes through his hands or really close to his hands on the way down. It's not going to be as far back behind his hip pocket right now. Here's the still photo of those two. And this frame back here was right around where that mouse or cursor is, so it was even more inside. But what we did, I have oodles of videos on my phone of tour players taking really, really weird practice swings. And that's Liam's really, really weird practice swing. So he's taking it what feels like wide open club face on the way back. One more time, a little bit out in front of him. So wide open club face. More wide open, and then he goes like way outside, chopping across it, and then he tries to hit the ball. And when he tries to do what you see him doing now, what shows up was this motion that we already saw, where it doesn't drop as much to the inside. And that's like, everybody says, oh, my practice swing is perfect and my real swing is garbage. And like, well, tour players take garbage, overdone practice swings, all to help their ball swing just get a skosh better. So don't be afraid for students to grasp that. And if you don't have any crazy swings, look up Alex Noren, look up Justin Rose. You saw him doing stuff at the Masters. I'll send some to you, whatever you want to do. I'm happy to get that to you. So I'm gonna close with a few things here. And I just threw in like a couple little tidbits here of students really need to know why the ball is doing what it's doing and what or how to get better, because they don't understand it. So why do they see all the shots? And you have to be able to explain why they chunk it, blade it, hit the hosel, slice it, pull it, and hit a great one all in the same time. And I always say that we all do the same thing slightly differently. So for the person who's a good golfer, they have, good items, good technique, and they do it slightly differently because the game's challenging. These other golfers, they do the same thing. It's a really bad root cause, and they all do it slightly differently, and that causes the 6 or 7 outcomes. That's the second item. And then the last item here is they really need to know what they're going to encounter along the way. Like, okay, Corey knows that he might hook some shots because he's got the face more square versus wide open. Because he had if you remember, his face was wide open and he would hook shots because he's getting so flippy at impact. And then some extra things that I threw in that I do a lot with students. I test people a lot. If they're hitting a hook, I want to see if they can slice it. So I do opposite shot regularly, almost every day with somebody. This is the hockey puck or spin the bag. Go get a impact bag or a hockey puck. I'm using head covers. Old head covers work better. That was on the ground. That's like one of those old sock head covers from my junior golf days. Swim noodles, they're about ready to double in price probably right now with this season, but go buy 10 swim noodles. And then this last one is what I instill with students. Like, you cannot hit the ball until you do 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 practice swings. You're not allowed to hit the ball. You have to earn the right to hit the ball. And you do that by doing those practice swings. And it's our job as coaches to see what practice swing is best. And I've stood there on the tee for zillions of years watching people like, okay, yeah, that's a really good practice swing. You got it. And then the ball swing just reverts a little bit to the old. Speed makes us revert. So I not always, but tend to have most people need to overdo it in their practice swings. I really encourage them, like, hey, you got to dive in here. I don't really take people that I am their practice. I don't do that anymore. They have to practice. They've put in X number of practice sessions, or they're not supposed to come back. And when they do come back, we need to pick up where we left off. We don't need to backtrack, or they need to be better than what they showed up with the first time. And that they need to practice exactly the same way that we did in the lesson, whether that's the drill, the number of practice swings, the exaggeration, number of balls, etc. So I do or two last things, and we're all set. I'll get you guys on your way. This came from Daniel Coyle's book. He was the author of The Talent Code. If you haven't read that book, it's fantastic. It's really cool stuff. And in this, I'm bringing this up because I kind of create some questions. They're simple questions to ask students, because I want to know their level of dedication, basically. And this chart, this was in Daniel Coyle's book. They were these I guess two people on the left, Watkins and Farnham, were their last names. They wanted to know why people who practice the same amount, this was the violin, why did people who practice the same amount, so these people practice like 20 minutes a week, why did this group of people, the red dot people, underperform compared to the blue dot people? Why did the blue dot people underperform compared to these gold dot people? Even though they practice the same amount, why did some people get better than others? And then they just did it like based on levels of practice. So people that practice 45 minutes, etc., people that practice more, 90 minutes, there's still a big difference here between groups of people, even though they practice the same amount. And they couldn't figure it out until they reviewed all of their questionnaires that they sent out to these people, musicians playing the violin again. And the question was, these gold people, all the dots in the gold people are higher performers. The question was to everyone, how long do you see yourself playing the violin? And the gold people said, that's a dumb question. My whole life. This is awesome. I love this instrument. It's really cool. These blue people or red people were like, sheesh, my mom's making me play this stupid instrument. As soon as I'm 18, I'm done with this. I'm out. I'm not going to play this thing ever again. So it's just their level of dedication came down to how they saw themselves in the future. And so I ask, we have a questionnaire on our website. You're welcome to utilize the questions that are on it. We get comments back regularly about how much they appreciate us sending this to them. It just shows your level of care to them and how much they know that you're invested in them. But occasionally we get the people that don't ask or don't answer very many questions on that questionnaire. So I'm learning just as much about them by them filling it out completely. Sometimes we get a book back, and sometimes we get a lot of blanks back. Then I asked number two, I asked the same question, just like the violin. How long do you see yourself playing this game of golf? And this third one I ask all the time. And the students that don't know where or when their next tournament is, I should say when or where is your next tournament? They're not the highest level junior golfers. Is that okay? 100%. We all play for different reasons. But it just gives me an indication of where they are in their game and how much they're practicing probably and how much they're into it. All right, last one. If you don't have any questions there, I'm going to kind of cruise through this. So this is huge for your students, your juniors, and parents. We all have gotten emails like, why did my superstar shoot 78 one day and 86 the next? And here's how I answer that question. I asked them with a question. What is the difference in strokes between the lowest and highest round of any tour player? So if you can probably see my screen on the right and get the answer, or on the left and see my answer. If you took one tour player and followed them for the course of a season, the average strokes between their best round and their worst round is 15 strokes. when I do seminars like this in front of parents and juniors, I mean, these are some of the answers I get. The 7 and 8, I mean, those are like halfway there. The 3 and the 4 is so unrealistic, it's pathetic. So some slides, and I post all these things online often, so you can share them or grab them or do whatever you want to. Nelly Corda, 2024. I'm going to cruise through this so we can get through a few more slides. She shot a 65 2 or 3 times over here, and then she went over here and she shot an 81 once and an 80 once. Somewhere that was a US Open. So when you just do the math between her 65 and her 81, that's 16 strokes. She had 6 wins, including the 6 of the first 8 tournaments. And then she went out and missed 3 cuts in a row. She missed 3 total cuts. Oh, that's just a note for myself. The scores are in the Olympics. This is Justin Thomas. I just threw him up because he won this week, obviously. This is 2017. He had a good year. He won the FedEx Cup. That means a whole bunch of millions. He missed 6 cuts during the season. We forget this sort of stuff. He missed 6 cuts, including 3 in a row. And the Golf Channel people are saying, yeah, should he fire his dad, right? It's like, come on. So 59 is an outlier. 80 sometimes is an outlier, but not a lot, not nearly as much as a 59. If you want to take the 59 out, you go 63 to 80. That's 17 strokes. I'm driving in a car out to Stream Song with some PGA pros, and I'm sharing them with this information. And the guy goes, no, that can't be right. Bernhard Langer, he's a robot, Trent. There's no way he's 15 shots. And I said, oh, shoot, you may have got me on that one. So I went home and I did his chart, and sure enough, it's actually exactly 15, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 62 to 77. Cruising right along. Scotty Scheffler last year. Sorry, this is blurry. This is just his played in 25 events. He had 4 wins, 4 seconds, 11 top 10s, so on and so forth. 2022, sorry, this is 2022, won the green jacket, #1 in world golf ranking, missed 4 cuts. He shot 62 twice and 76 twice, so there's 14. Scotty Scheffler this past year, which included a gold medal, $29 million in earnings, he has a 12-shot difference, 62 to 74. As you're looking at these charts, anything stick out to you about them? People said the same thing, like, okay, Annika, she was a robot. She can't be in there. She did have a few more higher rounds, or few more lower rounds, I should say. But her math is 13. There's 13 strokes. And then the best year of golf ever, Tiger shot a 61 once and a 75 once. So there's 14 shots. The lowest range, I've ever seen is Justin Rose in 2018. That's 11 shots right there. He won the FedEx Cup, I think, that year as well. But I couldn't wait for 2019 to get over with for no other reason than I wanted to see what he did in the following year. And he came back to planet Earth with 16 shots in there. I'm flying. I got one last one here. This is Adam Scott. Nothing crazy different. This is Adam Scott, like a micro. This is day to day. So all these numbers down here I know are really small. This dot is round 1 for his season. That's round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, so on and so forth. And it really bobs up and down. There are some gaps in there that are 7, 8, and 10 strokes, and that goes both in up and down. So we can really go. So when Mrs. Smith says, why did my superstar shoot 6 strokes higher than they did the day before, I've got a whole bunch of information to share with them and tell them why that happens. So what sort of questions can I ask? I went flying there at the end, but wanted to get that in because I think that's terribly helpful to utilize with all your students and players. Anything I can go back on or talk about?
Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Trent. You know, a lot of the good juniors that I work with, you
Yeah.
know, 25 years ago, I was always looking at grip, and I've gotten away from changing their grip. But it seems like I run into a lot of really strong grips, and you know, they come from the inside and they sling the ball out there. You know, obviously it comes from they can get a lot more speed. But
Yeah.
you know, I had a student last week come by, and strong grip, closed on the takeaway, closed at the top, closed halfway down, and right at the last minute, high block right.
Yeah.
What do you typically see, number one, that would maybe cause that? And number two, if a player has a strong grip, what do they really have to do to make it work? Because, look at Azinger. Azinger made it work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. So I would say I would explain to a person like, look, your grip is programmed to hook it, and you should be hooking it off the planet. Any shot that doesn't hook, that's just a reaction to you trying not to hit it left. And so that's probably what that person does, right? They just like hook it open at the last second. And so no doubt that's a toughie, because you've got to sell them on, okay, we got to figure out how to hit it straightish from that grip, or you've got to suck it up and change this grip. And they're going to fight through some stuff. I'll take videos of certain grips, or maybe their favorite player, and kind of say, hey, look, here's where Rory McIlroy grips it. This might be advantageous for you. Just any selling strategies. If they're, and I get it, like, again, as I said earlier, you have a strong gripper and you move their hands 1 millimeter and they can't even swing. It's fascinating. And probably too long of a road to go down, in my opinion. You've got to really work hard on trying to get the face open differently, so like I did with Liam there, we're like trying to cock the wrist, roll the hands a little bit, get the toe more straight up, and hit some, maybe fade shots. I set up like field goal posts on the range for them between this flag and this flag, and you can make them however wide you want. Right. Say, good, all right, with your 8-iron, let's do the new grip, or we're going to keep the grip, whatever way we're going to go. And let's say we keep the grip, but we're going to do the toe way up, and we've got to hit some mini shots 40 yards through the field goal post, and then 60 yards, and then 80 yards, and 100, and keep building it up. Your question's good. I think, you see players slide more who have a strong grip. You see Dustin Johnson get like wildly open to get his hands, pressed really far forward. And I mean, you get it. You're exactly right. It's called strong because it's better than weak, right?
Yeah. Right.
But it's about throttling it back a little bit. So those can be tough, and they need to understand that this could be a little bit of a road to go on. But they have to understand that, all right, I've got push right on the menu and hook into that guy's backyard barbecue on the menu, and you can't play golf that way. So you either suck it up, or you can just go on, keep at it. I learned a really cool thing I heard Chris Como say this at the National Teaching Coaching Summit that I haven't used before. And he says when he works with like Corn Ferry guys, and Chris feels like they need to do something in their swing to make the next step. He said, look, it's either do or die right now. You're sitting right here, and you're either gonna go sell insurance, or you're about ready to go, be on tour. So you can't stay where you are. You gotta bite the bullet, and that's really true. I think it's a neat way of saying it. Like, your choice, right? It's your choice. Here are the answers. It's your choice. That's a good one. That's a toughie, though.
Well, you can really paralyze somebody, and that's always a tough road for me to go down sometimes. But
yeah, I get it. I mean, there's so many different dynamics, right? Like, they're members, and you see them every single day, or is this person just a one-off lesson, or they want, right? There's a lot of things to talk through and work through there for sure.
Thank you, Trent. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Anything else?
Just really quick, Tom dropped in the chat. Thanks very much. Great work with the Wilson girls. I'll make sure to stop by and say hello if you're around Monday for the tournament. Thanks again.
Yeah, cool. High school golf is hard. I did a very short stint with the University of Denver women's team back when Sammy Chergo, thanks Elizabeth, was the head coach, and it was just wildly different for me. I'm so much in the individual lesson, and like, whoa, okay, now there's a team of female golfers, and there's this, dynamic. There was whole stuff that I wasn't probably ready for or into very much. And so the same with high school golf. Like, it's such an individual sport from an improvement standpoint that to just rattle off a bunch of stuff in front of 12 people is really, really challenging to do, because they don't all need the same thing. So that's hard. I find myself just like in a golf school. When we do a golf school, I'm like, I lose 10 pounds. I'm sweating like you can't believe. Like, I'm just running around with my head cut off because I don't give a lot of one-off speeches about swing mechanics, because everybody needs something different. There's certainly some general talks that we do that are really fun, but there's no such thing as one for all, Did we get them all?
I think so.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Trent. Have a great time, or have a great season, I guess you could say, and hope to see you soon.
You too. Thanks so much, Jason.
You bet. Take care.
Great to
Bye-bye.
see you.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Trent. I appreciate your time. I
Yep.
appreciate your presentation.
Yeah. Hopefully that was all right. I kind of flew through some of that.
Absolutely. I'm going to stop the recording here.